Hello everybody, welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the rental market in Las Vegas. Specifically, we're going to start with the headline that I saw. And what caught my attention, I'll put this up. This is from the local TV station. It says rent decline, right? And I'm sure people saw this and then immediately thought, okay, rents are declining. Then you read it. The latest data shows local rents are increasing about half as fast as they were a year ago. So, and they're not doing this, they're doing this. They're still increasing. So, first of all, let's talk about this. We're going to go into all the rental numbers, and we have some surprising data in the rental numbers. But talk about this one. We keep seeing this decline number, but it's not really prices going down. It's not really rent prices going down. It's other things, the velocity changing downward.
Right. So instead of rents going up 28%, then maybe they're going up 11%, but they're still going up.
So they're saying, oh, they dropped from 28 to 11. That's a 17% drop. It's not a drop. It's an increase. It's a less of an increase.
Right. And this is something that we've been talking about for a long time. You know, that this trajectory was not sustainable. We never said it was. And we did talk about the market flattening out and going back to a traditional market. And that applies to both rentals and sales.
A new report from the Nevada State Apartment Association shows the historic run of rent growth in Southern Nevada is unlikely to continue. Of course, we knew that, and we said that. We said home prices and rents are not likely to keep screaming up, even with inflation. It just came out about 9% for last month. While a spokesperson acknowledged that affordable housing is certainly an issue in Nevada, the latest data shows rents are increasing about half as fast as they were a year ago. Rents in Southern Nevada growing by 11.2% through the second quarter compared to a year earlier. During the same period, asking rents averaged $1,480 per month, up from $1,322. These are apartment rents. We're going to get to the point why this is different, but why do apartments rent for less? Because median home rents are like over $2,000, $2,100 or $2,200.
Right. So apartments rent for less because they are in a smaller land footprint, because land is, of course, the most expensive part, and so they're stacked. So that's part of the reason. But the thing to keep in mind is that as these apartment buildings are being built, these are luxury or at least upper end apartments. Okay, they are all around the Beltway. They are in desirable areas. They're super nice. They have amenities. They have rooftop gardens. They have pools. They have gyms.
They're super nice.
You know, they are very nice, and so they're going to be expensive, and so you're going to get into this position where apartment living and house living are going to be pretty close in price, I think.
So I'll show you this next slide. Analysts anticipate the addition of 7,400 rental units currently under construction. Now, remember, we have over 400,000 housing units. So this is a percentage it's less than 2% coming online, and they're apartments. Will expand existing inventory by more than 4%, apartment inventory by more than 4% when they're complete. The bulk of those new rentals are being built in Henderson and Summerlin. And just like Oana said, go to downtown Summerlin or go to nice parts of Henderson, and you'll see these new beautiful buildings. And if you go to try to rent one, you'll find that starting rent in some of them is $3,000.
Right.
It's $3,000, and you're like, why is it $3,000? This is an 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom apartment, because they're super nice. You're in a building with amenities. You're in downtown Summerlin. You know, you have your little parking garage underneath, and you know, you can see that they're super nice. This is not going to make, if anything, this is going to make the median rents go up, because now you're just throwing people in higher rental places, right?
Right.
You're not adding like low-income housing.
You know, and we've talked about this before, that, you know, whether you've got a mortgage or you've got rent, at the end of the day, you're buying a place. Okay, whether you're buying your place or whether you're buying your landlord's place, you're buying anyway. So these people who are paying high rent are going to probably stay there for some time, but then at some point they will wake up to the fact that they're tired of purchasing the property for someone else, and they'll go ahead and they'll buy something. Regardless of what interest rates do, the money being very similar, it makes a lot more sense for them to purchase than to rent.
Local rents are still lower than the national apartment at rent of about $1,640 per month during the second quarter. So a couple $100 a month less in Vegas. Of course, we're not San Diego, we're not, Miami, in places where it's more expensive. Overall, NVSAA, which is the apartment association, sees signs that local apartments market is starting to return to more normal and seasonal trends, meaning they're not predicting a crash in rents because they predict these things will be full. If these are full, that means houses will likely be full too, which means we won't likely see rents falling in regular rentals, right? Like there's nobody that actually like tracks and analyzes, other than NAR and some other firms, like what's going on in rentals and what they predict will happen. But we know that the vacancy rate is historic low.
Right. Yeah, so it's tough out there. You put a house on the market for rent, and you get lots of people inquiring about seeing the house and putting in an application. A lot of times they'll put in an application sight unseen, and they're willing to sign a hold harmless saying, I understand I've never seen the property, I'm not going to back out of it, I'll go ahead and fulfill the lease on the terms that we've agreed upon. And this happens all the time because people are so desperate to secure someplace to live. So
now you have all these houses, they're all rented. The landlords are collecting rent. They've got a 2.5% interest rate. They're making cash flow every month. They're not going to get foreclosed.
No, and these landlords, they all put at least 30% down, so they've got equity when they walked in the door. They've had some appreciation. Even if some of that appreciation is, fades away through the natural course of events, they'll still be fine because they can't put that money to work at that low interest rate again.
Yeah. So this theory that there will be a ton of houses hit the market, just like Oana said, you've got rents still very high. The amount of occupancy or vacancy is very low. There's high occupancy, low vacancy. People are not going to be in a rush to sell these things because when they sell them and they get their money back, they've just given up that super low interest rate. They've got all this cash. They can't go out and buy another rental because they either have to pay cash for it, right? And it's a huge part of the Vegas market is frozen because why would they ever sell? Why would they ever sell?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because you've put that money to work at such a low interest rate. You're particularly in a high inflation environment. I mean, you've got basically free money. You're making money on the bank's money. That's what you're supposed to do, right? So these people are not going to sell, not unless they have some life event that causes them to sell, but they're not going to sell because it's a good investment choice.
Overall, this report is great news for Las Vegas because they're building housing for higher income people. We have all these high income people that have come in that work for companies remotely. They're living in apartments. They were accustomed to living in apartments in other cities. They're potential future homeowners, right? These are higher end units. This is going to help it's going to help the rental market in that people are still going to be, need to rent. And the average $1,600 a month rental person is not going to be able to afford a lot of the newer units.
Well, and I think that the thing to point out is that when these developers decided to put these apartments up, they had choices. They could put up apartments that are going to be rented out, or they could put up condos, right, where you're selling the individual units. And they did the math and figured out that it made more sense to put up apartments because that afforded them a better rate of return.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that really quick because this is really important. Condos are still relatively cheap in Vegas. All the people saying that Vegas is super overpriced, even with the current interest rates, which I think is 5.3% for a 30-year fixed, it's still cheaper to buy a condo than rent. that 200 and you just sold a condo for 180, didn't you? Was it 180?
Yeah.
$180,000. Even at 5% interest rate, if you wanted to rent the same condo, it would cost you more.
Right.
So, these builders are trying to maximize their ROI, and they're realizing that it was cheaper to build a unit and rent it out than build condos and sell them. And that's pretty incredible in our market. That what that shows is that Vegas is transitioning to more of a city, right? With investors and developers willing to come in and build long-term rental units like you see in most cities. And this includes New York City, where what they've done is they've shifted the buildings to the top. Like, they'll build a building 60 floors. Maybe the top 20 floors they'll sell for a ton of money. But then the first 40 floors will be rentals. Because they want to get that return. They don't want the person to go buy the place and rent it out and make all the money. They want to make the money too.
Right. They want that recurring revenue. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they recognize there's a good ROI. They believe rents are going to stay high, and they believe that there will be a good return.
Yeah.
So this positively helps the real estate market. Speaking of the real estate market, we have an update that's going to come out tomorrow that's going to go through all the specifics. This is a mid-July update. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us your comments, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.
Give us a big thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.